Hey YouTube, it's Taki with TaqiTech. We're in episode 22 here where we are going to print to the H column. And in the last video I got a little confused over which column we were in. We were in the correct column in that video, the G column. When I looked at the model, that was incorrect and I fixed the model. And so this video we're just going to talk about printing those end times. And right away I want to take a look when you take a look at model 6 and you look at the end times, you see they're either incremented from the out by 1 second or it takes the amount of the whole break. So taking a look at the code here, I'm just highlighting the new aspects of the code that is already there. So these are built around the code that's already there. It's built around that do loop where we're basically looping until we get to the 480 minutes, or we're going through all the minutes that were worked. And we're going through those two if statements, if this is a task, if this is a break. And basically, I've dimmed a new variable. It's a Boolean. And a Boolean is a very small piece of data because it can only be true or false, or 0 or 1. I'm not sure if I could use a 0 or 1 in VBA, but you can't do true or false. And basically, I dimmed it. A Boolean. If you notice the name here, this is one of the few times where I do follow the naming convention, where you kind of indicate what data type it is when you name it. And I put a BL in front of it just so people know that it's a Boolean. And I declare it here, and then I initialize it to the value false to start off with. And then basically this might be a little confusing when you first start looking at it, but basically this is inside that if statement. So now I'm in the part of the if statement. So we do the loop, do the if statement, if a task, if a break, and then I believe if it's a break, of course, yeah, then I'm going to say equals true, so that I know when I go down to this next if statement. So we're printing out to column G. And then we go into this next if block here. And we say if this is a break, then what we're going to do is when we print to column H, we're going to go back on the sheet and we're going to take a look at that value that's right next to the break time. And I've kind of not hard coded it. I could have had a two-dimensional array here. I thought we could save the memory a little bit, use Excel to our advantage. You know, this is if the index is 0 for I break, then this is going to be 5, 3. And if you take a look at the spreadsheet, let me make sure I did this right here. So I break plus 5. So am I assuming that this is going to be 1? Oh yeah, okay. So basically it will be 1 because it gets incremented in the if block up here. So sorry if this is a little confusing here. So we're adding 5 to it. So then it is 6, 3. And that's right there. And then it's dynamic because every time that I break gets incremented, then it will be, next time it will be 7, 3, and so on and so forth. So we're passing in those minutes there in that cell on top of that start time, which was the time in column G, and that will give us the time after our break. That's where we kind of we take that start time and we save that for the next time we go around, so that when we put the next value in column G, it's looking at what we just put in column H, which means that we have counted the minutes and the break. So we got our 30-minute break and our 12-minute break, and that should be counted this time. So that's right here at the start time right here. Then we set that Boolean back to false so that we won't go back in here again into this part of the if statement unless we're in a break. And then basically if it isn't a break and it's just a task, then we're just going to increment it by 1 second in the H column. So let's actually go through the code here. Let me make sure I've covered everything here. Oh, and so when we increment it by 1 second, I use a function called print in. And print in basically is just adding, it's this date add, but it's only adding 1 second in. And what I'm passing in here is, when I wrote this function, I passed in a row and a column. So I pass in the row counter, which tells it which row we're on, and then to look at that column 7, which translates to G. So we're looking at column G, and we're going to add 1 second to it. So here, we're going to look at 12, and we're going to add 1 second to it, 12:01. All right. So let us get inside the code here. And basically, I'm going to put the break here from now on. Take it off there. Okay, so this time it's false. So what we're going to do is in column, in cell H2, we're going to print 8:48 in 1 second. 8:48 a.m. in 1 second. So here we go. There's your 8:48 in 1 second. We go take a look at the spreadsheet. Here we are right here. 8:48 in 1 second. All right. Let's go again here. So increment that row. Now, it is a break. We go in here and we're going to say, okay, so H3 is now going to equal, and we're going to go take it to that function, get new start time. We're going to pass in 10 a.m. and we're going to look at the sheet at 6:03. Now give us, that's 30 minutes, so this should be coming back with 10:30. And there's 10:30. So then we change the start time from 10 a.m. to 10:30. So the next time we put our value in the G column, it will be based off of 10:30, and we're counting those 30 minutes that we had a break, and we're going to now make that a false value, so we won't enter this if block again unless there's a break. And if there's a break up here, let me see, this is where I indicate that it's true. Okay. And we're going to increment our counter again. So let's see here. Again, a break that's false. Break that's false. Break that's false. Break that's false. A break that's false. Let's see when we get to 1. Let me see what time we're at here. So now we're at 2. So there should have been 1:12. Let's take a look here at the spreadsheet. Yeah, I must have accidentally skipped over it. So we had our break at 1 p.m. and 1:12. We're kind of rounding third heading home here. And let's see here. Now what time we're at? 2:30. So now we're going to see our 2:42. And what time is it here? 2:42. Let me hit F8. There's our 2:42. Oh, this is interesting because we're looking at 8:3 here. There's nothing there, so there's not going to be any. So somehow we ended up, okay, I guess because we exited out with, so this is something I'm actually kind of figuring out here too, I guess. And row 13, next range, and I think we're done. Let's take a look at our minute counter. Minute counter is equal 0. So that's it. And let's take a look at our spreadsheet here. Okay, so as you can see here, we start accounting for those breaks. We got our 10:30 here, we have our 1:12 here. Everything else is incremented by 1 second except for this one, which I might not have to fix that. I'm kind of glad I know where it falls so that I can reinstitute that last out, because that last out is going to go right here. 2:42 will go right there. Let's take a look at our model real quick and see how the times match up. Well, I already know how they match up because I ran it a few times. We got 8:48 here, and that's what we needed. Now we need to be able to drop it down when we go from one task to another task. We got our 10 a.m. here, 11 a.m., 12 p.m. So all this is matching up perfectly. 1 p.m., 1:18, 1:23, 1:37, 2, and our 2:30, and then our 2:42. So it's doing exactly what it needs to do. In the next video, we will talk about last out, possibly, or we will talk about this drop here when we go from task code 41 to 45. But I appreciate you watching and hanging in there with me. Hope it wasn't too confusing. As you can see, we're getting closer and closer to getting to the data validation part of the project. We're almost done. So I'm not going to say there's only 6 videos left. I can't remember which video I said that, and I'm wondering how far we got. But there were some long videos on our way here. But thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take it easy.